You shoot me in a dream, you better wake up and apologize.
Stuff your sorries in a sack, mister.
That's all this is there.
I'm sorry!
Congratulations! You've unlocked All Apologies, a show about apology tours and demanding satisfaction. I'm your host, Trucker Andy, and with me, as always, is your co-host, Joe Sixpack.
What's up, everybody? Let's plug the live show, March 9th at Comedy at the Carlson. You see it over here under my name. Andy, I was also thinking I was going to start ripping off Stuttering John's Tonight Show thing where he'd always like cheers with the mug, like that was his bit or whatever, like anything. Yeah, do that. So, yeah, Comedy at the Carlson, March 9th. Rochester, New York, Subreddit Surfing Live, featuring us, All Apologies Podcast, and stand up by Carl Hamburger. It's going to be a blast. I was just listening to, catching up on some older WATP. I heard Kindy's going to be there. That's exciting. I was excited to hear that, to see her scowl in real life at Carl while he's on stage. That'll be fun.
She'll tell us we suck live and in person.
What's that?
She'll tell us we suck live and in person.
Oh, yeah. It'll be really exciting. So come on out and watch Kindy be upset at everything that we're doing. It'll be really fun. So this is our mini episode, Andy, right? Our exclusive Patreon content, where we're going to catch up on. There's a lot of interesting stories this week. Do you want to focus on? Do you want to start with a roundup, or do you want to go right to the focused material here? What do you want to do?
Well, we have narrowed our focus for this week, but I do want to mention some of the other Instagram posts. But I also want to mention, do you think there's any way that was actual coffee in John's cup? I mean, there was Coors Light in that coffee muffin for sure, right?
Yeah, probably. And some intern's urine.
Yeah, whoever fetched it, pissed in it. Okay.
Some bodily function of some page at the studio.
Right. And in the Instagram news this week, we had the post about Toyota issuing the apologies for the cheap testing that they did. You know something about that, don't you? You work for a auto manufacturer that had problems with their testing.
I've been entangled. I've had an entanglement from the HR department in having to focus on antitrust training and ethics.
Yeah.
In business. Yeah, that's been a thing in my life in the past. Yeah, so hearing that was I mean, I don't give a shit, but
right.
some tender people would call it triggering, but yeah, I've had experience with fudging the numbers on safety testing. Yeah, I've seen that up close and personal.
Yeah, you had problems with emissions, not just nocturnal emissions,
not just chilly Thursdays.
And then they had the Larry David apologizing for throttling Elmo. That was in the news. I was on WATB talking about that, and I have to apologize for not realizing that Toby Keith had died, and I made a joke at Toby Keith's expense less than 24 hours after he had passed away, just out of nowhere.
Usually people would say too soon. I say too late.
Yeah. I wasn't upset about it.
Never late shitting on Toby Keith, but rest in piss. Whatever. No, I have nothing. I mean, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but who cares?
Yeah, that was too soon. And then we had Ayo Adibri was on SNL, and she's from The Bear. She's right. The co-lead in The Bear, and then Jennifer Lopez was performing, and apparently Ayo had said disparaging things about Jennifer Lopez's music career, which is totally justified. Jennifer Lopez is not known for her singing ability. She's known for her hot body and looking good into her 50s, and saying that her music is hack is fine. So don't apologize for that.
No, there's no reason to apologize for that. It is if Jennifer Lopez is a quadruple threat, her singing and music career is the quad of that.
Yeah.
The paraplegic part of her career is the singing part.
And then we had another politician, Dean Davis, got arrested for being drunk in public, and that tracks with all the other fucking politicians that are in this country. We're going to get around to more politicians that I can't stand. And lastly, Taylor Swift, I guess, tried to get cute with the fans in Japan about debuting a new song, and she didn't. It was just like a tease or something like that. She didn't really play anything brand new for the Japanese fans, and then I guess she felt bad about that and apologized for that. Like anybody gives a shit.
Brand new.
I feel like people only give a shit about that, but not me.
Putting out everybody, everyone needs to take a little break every once in a while. It's fatigue. Taylor Swift fatigue syndrome.
Right. It's the girl,
Oversaturated.
the girl version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Enough is enough.
Right. We we need to inject some patriarchy into the Taylor Swift verse.
I know. Like Travis Kelce needs to be trucked out on stage to disappoint all the girl fans at her concerts and be like, why am I subjected to this guy coming out trying to do a duet with his girlfriend?
Right. Travis Kelce should be like smoking barbecue on the side of the stage during the concert while the whole thing's going on. Like just being disruptive in some way that's, drawing focus away from the main reason everyone's there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, the real reason for the season is the Mark Zuckerberg Senate dressing down. And people, this is the same as every time they try and blame Judas Priest for some kid getting murdered or shooting video games every time there's a school shooting. That's what they're doing again. It's the same stupid fucking playbook from our politicians trying to blame
atrocities
on. Yeah, they're trying to blame atrocities on
first person shooter video games.
Right. So 5 years ago they had that information hack. Everybody that's on Facebook, you signed up to be there. You know that there are foreign entities in there doing everything they can to steal your information and your identity and use it against you. But you can't wait to get on there and show everybody what you had for lunch. So don't cry when things don't go your way, because you don't need to be on there.
The government and Mark Zuckerberg are not babysitting my children properly.
Exactly.
Okay. This is everyone's fault but mine.
Yes. So the Mark Zuckerberg is dragged in front of a panel of some of the most obnoxious senators you could hope to assemble in a lineup. It's it's not a super group. It's a super poop
dildo parade.
Yes. And then the most obvious being Ted Cruz. You're going to see him sitting there on the right. And when the best thing that you did with your career in the last couple of years is grow a beard so people could see less of your douchey face, then you're a loser. Tricking Christians at a border state is the easiest thing that you could do. So that's how he keeps sticking around. You just claiming that Mexicans are going to walk into your house if you don't vote for him. So he's there. And then you have Tom Cotton, who was also in the news going after the CEO of TikTok, trying to get some kind of gotcha moment where he thinks he's good. If he asks the same question for an eighth time, that the guy is going to be like, "Oh yeah, I actually am Chinese." It didn't work the third time. It's not going to work the eighth time, Tom. You fucking he's so annoying. Tom, my great grandfather owned people who picked cotton, so he's there too. And then Josh Hawley is the guy that we're gonna hear the most from. That's gonna go after Mark. So
Didn't
Josh
he
Hawley,
didn't he run away from the insurrection? Didn't he he cheered the insurrection, and then when they broke in, he ran away? That's what I know about Josh Hawley.
sounds about right.
Or at least
He's also the senator from your favorite state, Missouri.
yeah, right.
And these guys think that getting on a soapbox and yelling, "I'm against kids dying," is going to make them seem like they actually earned the tens of thousands of dollars raise that they're about to give themselves next week.
Well, meanwhile, Missouri just, I don't know how long ago it was, but they eliminated all their gun laws or something like that. I think gun related deaths for kids is up 25% in Missouri. Now y'all can go fact check it, but it seems like if we blame social media for kids dying, then we don't have to focus on the gun violence that they'll 100% do nothing about in that state for sure. But it's social media's fault that, gun violence is up 25% in Missouri.
And this makes me so mad because I don't have anything for Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not on Zuckerberg's side, but I hate these politicians so much more. And I think Zuckerberg does profit off of selling personal information that people use on that platform. And the fact that those people, that he profits off of are electing to be there. That you decided that you want to be on Facebook. So you don't need to be on Facebook. You don't need to be on TikTok. In fact, the people that aren't on there are very, very happy. Just so take note of that.
Well, to me, it sounds like they're asking the CEOs of these companies who are making all the money to fix their problem for them. My constituents find this to be a problem, so you need to fix it. No, go and pass laws, figure it out, and pass laws then if you don't like it.
Correct.
Or fine them. You want to figure out how to make all of the money, fine them.
Right.
I mean, I don't know shit about it, but I'm also not the one complaining about it.
Right. But just to illustrate that this happens all the time, 5 years ago, John Thune and Senator Blumenthal, who claimed that he was in Vietnam when he wasn't. This guy is a stolen valor guy that is trying to take Zuckerberg to task.
What happened here was, in effect, willful blindness. It was heedless and reckless.
Why should we trust Facebook?
We have made a lot of mistakes in running the company.
Yeah, there's a lot of hideous people involved.
We didn't take a broad enough view of our responsibility, and that was a big mistake. And it was my mistake, and I'm sorry.
Okay,
that's
so this
old, right?
That's 5 years old.
Okay,
you would have thought it happened last week,
right?
Right.
This is just the annual drag them in here and make them answer for things that I don't care for.
Right. And so this is a trend that's going to be made perfectly clear in the first few minutes of this next video. So let's have a look at tech expert Josh Hawley's damning presentation about these statistics that are so concerning. This is a 4-minute video. We're going to stop it as we go, but it kicks off with maybe one of the stupidest presentations I've ever seen.
Here's some information from a whistleblower who came before the Senate, testified under oath in public. He worked for you. He's a senior executive. Here's what he showed he found when he studied your products. So, for example, this is girls between the ages of 13 and 15 years old. 37% of them reported that they had been exposed to nudity on the platform unwanted in the last 7 days.
It was Josh Hawley's account.
24% said that they had experienced unwanted sexual advances they'd been propositioned in the last 7 days.
From Josh Hawley.
17% said they had encountered self-harm content pushed at them in the last 7 days. Now, I know you're familiar with these stats because he sent you an email where he lined it all out. I mean, we've got a copy of it right here. My question is, who did you fire for this?
Okay, pause it, Ed. Sebastian Maniscalco should have just walked out and asked, aren't you embarrassed? Like, you have the tech pioneer CEO of a company that works in the video space online, and you're putting up shitty posters on an intern, shitty, unreadable posters up in front of him.
I'm pretty sure there's like a decorum or protocol thing that says like you can't have like a PowerPoint or you can't bring out your microfiche overhead projector. So this is like the only way they can do it.
I've seen 9th graders get a C- on better presentations, Joe.
Right. This is all redacted. If this was a Fletch thing, if this wasn't all illegible, you'd see what I mean.
Yeah. That intern that's putting the shit up on the easel is probably proficient in PowerPoint, Josh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mark's probably cracking up watching this back at how laughable this, like, it's unreadable. All right, go ahead and play it a little more. Let's see this.
Who got fired because of that?
Senator, we study all of this because it's important and we want to improve our services.
Well, you just told me a second ago that you studied it, that there was no linkage. Who
Senator,
did you fire?
Yeah, I said you mischaracterized.
37% of teenage
girls. Mark's like, I can't really read that from here. It could say anything. It could say that your 3-month supply of Viagra has been delayed. I can't read that. It could say anything.
Yeah.
But this is the most obnoxious way to have an argument where he's going to start asking the same question 10 times in a row. Go ahead, Ed.
Between 13 and 15 were exposed to unwanted nudity in a week on Instagram. You knew about it. Who did you fire?
Senator, this is why we're building all.
Who did you fire?
Tools. Senator, I don't think that's.
Who did you fire?
I'm not going to answer that.
You didn't fire anybody, right? You didn't take any significant action.
It's appropriate.
All right, Mr. Zuckerberg, we're going to play 20 questions, and questions 2 through 8 are, who did you fire? If he didn't answer it the 3rd time, he's not going to answer it the 8th time.
I don't know how it works in Washington, D.C. either, but like in large corporations or whatever, half the time you don't even find out who got fired or whatever, or like they don't even announce it till the end of the quarter or the end of the month or something like that. And they're certainly not going to share it with you, asshole. Yeah. Who did you fire? Right. I'm going to, dead name some asshole that doesn't work for Meta anymore.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like my chief operating officer.
I fired they-thems from Meta.
Yeah. Yes, the guy that I fired is trying to get another job, and I'm not going to throw it out there so that he can't get a new job because your intern Dennis put those posters up so fast that I just can't argue with this. I have to concede that who got fired.
Right. The guy who allowed the choking challenge on TikTok or whatever. Yeah, we knew exactly who that was and let them go immediately because we're so on top of it. I don't think you understand that. None of these guys understand how the fucking internet even works.
I know. Now, this is one of the
algorithm. Who's that? Albert Garitham? I don't know.
One of the crazier things that Senator Hawley tries to propose, the idea that someone who created a tool or utility should be responsible for financially compensating victims of crimes committed by people who use that tool in a way that it wasn't intended for. right?
And
So
Andy, 10 kids stuck a fork in the electrical outlet. Call up freaking your power company and ask them who got fired because a kid stuck a fork in an outlet. Who'd you fire?
It's not
individual HR
appropriate.
decisions.
Do you know who's sitting behind you? You've got families
Your
from
mom.
across the nation whose children are either severely harmed or gone. And you don't think it's appropriate to talk about steps that you took? The fact that you didn't fire a
I'm
single
happy
person?
to-
Let me
happy
ask
to
you
talk
this.
about
Let me
the
ask you
steps
this.
that we took
Have you
if you'd let me
compensated
speak.
any of the victims?
this is like saying that Alexander Graham Bell or Thomas Edison, if they were alive today, would have to make restitution to anyone that fell for a telemarketing scheme. Oh, you used electricity to power that computer. Sorry, Edison, you're going to have to pay for all of the victims. You're going to have to pay them out. Does that make any sense?
Right. Freedom for everyone. I mean, I know this is about kids or whatever, but the second you tried to say that, whatever, like I was just talking about the gun laws in Missouri before. Oh, we have to do something. You try and like regulate that. Absolutely not. Our freedom. This is
Yeah.
just it's the wild, wild west. You have to be responsible for your kids and how they access it. And if you gave them a phone and you let them log in or whatever, and you don't know what they're doing, there's personal responsibility there. I mean, I don't know. There is probably a need for greater regulation on shit here, but Josh Hawley's just entirely too sanctimonious about it.
Correct. All right, let's keep going with the clip.
Compensated any of the victims? These girls, have you compensated them?
I don't believe so.
Why not?
I don't compensate girls.
Don't you think
Josh.
they deserve some compensation for what your platform has done? Help
Senator-
with counseling services, help with dealing with the issues that your services caused?
Our job is to make sure that we build tools to help keep people safe.
Are you
across
going
our
to
platform.
compensate them?
Senator, our job and what we take seriously is making sure that we build industry-leading tools to find harmful
To make
content,
money.
take it off the service.
To make money. Yeah. Yes, we're in the business of making money.
Oh,
We don't
Josh
all
Hawley, Josh
we don't-
Hawley's against capitalism.
Yeah, we don't all get to add a clause to a bill about funding the repair of a bridge, like infrastructure reform that also comes along with an addendum that gives Josh Hawley a raise. That's how you make money. Josh's net worth is $1.1 million as a public servant. Okay.
Yeah.
So private interest groups are funding this asshole's whole campaign to the tune of 6 figures. So feel free to start your own charity, Josh, about paying out victims of social media.
It's 7 figures.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
But,
this is just what they show you, like what you're allowed to see.
Yeah, but I would like Josh Hawley to speak to the services for young girls that Missouri offers for healthcare, for reproductive rights, or young girls who may have been raped or need guidance from sexual assault or something like that. I wonder what the services that are being provided in Missouri are for children who are harmed in that way.
You're reading my mind, Joe. Let's hear some more of the clip.
To build tools that empower parents.
So you
that
didn't
help
take
work-
any action. You didn't
That's
take
not
any
true,
action. You
Senator.
didn't fire anybody. You haven't
That's not true.
compensated a
That's
single
not-
victim.
that's
Let
not
me
what I
ask you
said.
this. Let me ask you this. There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now?
Well,
They're here. You're on national television. Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
I'm sorry for everything that you all have been through. It's terrible. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered. And this is why we invested so much and are going to continue.
5, 6, 7. No, Ed, pause.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be callous here, but how many fucking people are on Facebook and Instagram and like every social media platform represented on this dais here or whatever you want to call that? That's eight fucking kids out of how many people that are either making a living on these platforms or, You know, I mean, I understand there's a problem or whatever, but you're making it seem like that this is just like an ocean of dead kids that
Yeah.
these guys are responsible for.
These are the poster children for Josh's cause that he's invited to this hearing to make Mark look like a piece of shit. And that was the apology proper. You can't really hear it because he's turned away from the microphones. But he's apologizing for what the families went through, saying they work towards putting tools on the platform that parents can use to help their kids, because he's sorry that parents need help parenting. And he's sorry that parents think it's Facebook's job to raise their kids for them. I mean, he's not saying that, but that's what he's saying. And that's the fact, is that you're not monitoring what your kids are doing online. And somehow Josh Hawley is going to make that Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook's problem. That's what's happening here. And like I said, I don't think that Mark Zuckerberg is a good guy. I don't think that that he's not. I think that he is selling people's private information, that people are volunteering to him. Right? But he's not profiting off the death of kids. You know, there's predators victimizing kids in this space. And
it's like literal collateral damage. You know, like that's a byproduct of everybody. Like, how am I supposed to know when the Super Bowl party is starting tomorrow if I don't get a Facebook invitation? Meanwhile, some kid died. You know, I was just like, I don't like. I need to know that. I need to know when the party is. Okay, and if some kid has to die for that, then so be it.
If your kid was watching cat videos, this probably wouldn't have happened. That's what
I'm bringing the paper plates.
Yeah. Okay, let's hear some more of the clip.
Three types of things that your families have had to suffer.
You know, why, Mr.
Not good enough.
Zuckerberg,
Not
why
good enough for
should
Josh
your
Hawley,
company
right?
not be sued for this? Why is it that you can claim, you hide behind a liability shield, you can't be held accountable? Shouldn't you be held accountable personally? Will you take personal responsibility?
Senator, I think I've already.
Why shouldn't he be sued? Do you have a good answer for that, Joe? Because it's a very easy answer.
Why shouldn't Mark Zuckerberg be personally sued for everybody else's actions on the platform that he created? I don't know why isn't Henry Ford sued because his family sued for every automotive accident that happens on the fucking road.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that, because you can't stop the advancement of technology. And to your point, I visited Boston and we went over to Beacon Hill, and just like the name says, there's a giant hill there. And when I was on the historic tour, the tour guide was like, see how the buildings, the bricks are a different color from the front to the back there? That's because when they invented the automobile, people were coming down the hill and hitting the buildings because they were too close to the bottom of the hill. So instead of doing away with the automobile, they moved the buildings back off of the street until people got better at driving. So,
I mean, good point. So they came up with a solution, right? Move the buildings back. That happened at the expense of taxpayers, and it was probably real fucking inconvenient for people, and some people probably were fucked over by it or whatever. So instead of sitting here and pointing fingers at each other and saying, well, if there should be regulation, so I think that's a government thing. Oh, well, I think that it should be the responsibility of your company or whatever. Well, why don't we try and work together and come up with a real fucking solution, instead of you just pointing your finger at me and saying I should pay everybody out of my billions? Now, I mean, yeah, maybe the billions that are made by Meta should be dumped into the solution, but let's come up with the fucking solution instead of you like trying to white knight me in front of a bunch of grieving parents.
Yeah. And the answer to your question, Josh, is terms of service. I mean, everybody acknowledges the risk. They assume the risk when they sign up to use the platform. I mean, why shouldn't Josh be sued for all the transgender people that are beaten to death in Missouri, or all of the women that die from pregnancy complications because the laws that they pass in Missouri.
Right.
I'll sue everybody. I'll sue you.
He freaking was waving the Confederate flag around when they repealed Roe versus Wade. So I'm sure he was real fucking happy about it. And all of the increased gun death violence in the state of Missouri, I'm sure he's super happy about it. Mr. Masculinity, his fucking failed book. He's just a stupid piece of shit.
Yeah. All right, let's move on with this.
I mean, show me any politician in that room. I'll say the same thing. It's not like
I know
it doesn't have anything to do with the R in front of the fucking state.
Answer this. I mean, these.
We'll try this again. Will you take personal responsibility?
Senator, I view my job and the job of our company as building the best tools that we can to keep our community safe.
Well, you're failing at that.
Well, Senator, we're doing an industry-leading effort. We build AI tools
nonsense. Your product is
a bill.
Will you personally commit to compensating the victims?
Total stalemate in Washington.
Compensating the victims. Will you set up a compensation fund with your money?
I think these are
with your money.
Senator, these are complicated.
Yes, no, that's not a complicated question, though. That's a yes or no. Will you set up a victims compensation fund with your money, the money you made on these families sitting behind you? Yes or no?
Pause it. And who's going to oversee who gets that money and why they get it, Josh? What's going to happen when millions of dollars, tens to hundreds of $1 millions get donated to this fund that you're suggesting? Josh Hawley going to oversee this? Probably Josh Hawley's wife, right?
His first in line.
Yeah. So I'm sure he'd love to be the arbiter of who controls the millions of dollars from Facebook and decides where that money goes. And if some of it mysteriously disappears, who's to say where it went, right, Josh?
Oh, it all went to barbecue and Kansas City Chiefs swag.
Right.
Merch.
And for Santos's OnlyFans. We know what you guys do.
Yep.
Fucking scumbags. Okay, let's keep going.
I don't think that's my job. Is to
sounds like a no.
Good tools. My
sounds
job
like a
is
no.
to make sure that
your job is to be responsible for what your company has done. You've made billions of dollars on the people sitting behind them. You here. You've done nothing to help them. You've done nothing to compensate them. You've done nothing to put it right. You could do so here today, and you should. You should, Mr. Zuckerberg.
Right. Well, I'm sure there's a number of charitable organizations that Facebook donates to as tax shelters. So pushing some of that money around is no problem. And I'm sure all the victims think Josh Hawley is a real hero now, that this media circus changed everything for them thanks to Josh, right?
Yeah. All it took was a couple of placards that his intern displayed for him.
Special thanks to intern Dennis for really driving the point home.
Thanks for getting that placarded at the at Kinko's or wherever he fucking went. He really set up that easel well.
Yeah. Well, it's probably very hard for Zuck to stay composed and take it on the chin for this self-righteous dildo and all his friends. But that's the job of a CEO, I guess, right? I mean, you got to be... It would be so... I mean, if I learned anything from The Social Network, it's that Mark Zuckerberg is no stranger to this. So that this is just the cost to be the boss. And I'm sure it'll happen another 5 years from now. But you know what won't happen 5 years from now, Joe? What? Subreddit Surfing Live, March 9th, starring Jimmy Paulino and Cardiff Electric, featuring Carl Hamburger, producer Chris, Kindy, Joe Sixpack, Trucker Andy. We're all going to be there. Comedy at the Carlson. Please go to comedyatthecarlson.com if you're near the Rochester area. And
virtually no talking about politics or social media, probably.
Yeah, but I think I am going to stream on our YouTube channel live before and after the show, because Cardiff is going to be doing karaoke. We're going to interview all of the participants before pre and post show. I think we're going to post the whole live episode up here on Patreon for everybody to see. So if you can't be there live, you'll probably get
the stream or something.
But in the meantime, Please check us out on Instagram, like and follow there. Please rate and review the show wherever you find podcasts. Thank you for everybody that has been kind enough to find us here on Patreon, for Trucker Andy and Joe Sixpack.
Sorry, fuck the government.